We are the Institute for Intuitive Intelligence, revolutionizing intuition by training spiritually fierce women globally as qualified intuitive guides. Subscribe for the leading research and teachings on the conversation of intuition development.
Hello and welcome. Welcome. My name is Karen Swainson and I'm an intuitive intelligence trainer. I'm currently completing my diploma, my postgraduate diploma with the Institute, and Ricky is taking us through on spiritual directorship. So I am in here today sharing with you part of my journey of what has brought me to where I am and what I do, and where my passion lays and what I have found. So just before I start, just to let you know, there is a sensitive content warning. So if this is something that you aren't able to watch now and you would like to watch back later, please do so. So let me start. Have you ever heard of the saying, hurt people hurt people? Well, I'll tell you what it means to me. I remember back in my late teens when I had something taken from me, my innocence. I remember as I laid there and I was being raped. And I remember in those moments that I felt myself leave my body. It was safer to do this. I remember thinking, it's okay, it's just been done to my physical body, but it won't harm me in any way. I won't let it. I remember praying to God, just allow it to be over. Let it finish. Just let it be done. And afterwards, I lay there in the dark, silently crying. So full of pain, so full of hurt, regret, shame, and feeling utterly alone. I couldn't comprehend what had happened, and I didn't have the coping mechanisms at that age to be even able to deal with what had happened to me. And I wasn't even thinking straight. But I had decided in that moment that I wouldn't be telling anyone. I wouldn't lean on those that love me, that support me. And I wouldn't share this at all. I wouldn't give it a voice. For I felt if I gave it a voice, it would make it a bit too real. And I didn't want to feel ashamed. I didn't want people to judge me. And I didn't want to have to try and explain myself. Little did I know that by not sharing and not seeking help and support at this important moment in my life, how it would lead to so many other issues, so many other walls that I would continue to put up in my life. It led me down a path of not being able to trust anyone. I felt like I was constantly guarding myself. I wouldn't let anyone in case I got hurt again. It didn't feel safe to do so. I was always a very, very friendly person, but I would never really share anything of me. And really, I didn't even know who I was because I had put these boundaries up for so long. It turned to self-harm. I just needed to feel something. I felt so numb. And with the self-harm, I took it to a few different extremes, but I can safely say that, thank goodness, I am still here, because one of those days I took it a little bit too far and it may have ended up a very different story. When the self-harm didn't work and I just needed to feel like I was numbing something, I turned to drugs and alcohol. because it was far nicer to feel like I was escaping my reality, my responsibilities. And for that period of time, I was high, I was happy. I felt free. I felt a sense of freedom in those moments. And I felt like I could just be me. But all I was doing was just shoving it all down and numbing, not dealing with anything at all. This affected everyone around me, everyone that loved me, everyone that would support me in different ways. My total need of control got so extreme that was the only way I thought I could cope. And because it had been part of me for so long, I just assumed it was part of my inbuilt behaviours. It was part of me. It was a learnt behaviour that I've always had, and I didn't realise that this was something I could change. And I didn't realise that this was actually trauma related. Everything came to a head in 2014 for me, when I remember standing in my kitchen in front of my child, and I had my hand so firmly grasped around their wrist that they couldn't move. And I was squeezing so tight. I was so full of blinding rage. I don't even know what had got me to the point, but I was at breaking, and I was ready to explode. And I could feel my whole body shaking as I was shaking them. I was screaming inside and on the outside too. And I remember looking down into my child's eyes and just seeing the absolute terror in their eyes. I was someone that was supposed to love them, to protect them, to keep them safe. But everything they were showing me in this instant was so far from that. They were frozen in terror. They were frozen just like I had been frozen all those years beforehand. I felt myself absolutely at war that day with myself. I was willing myself to let go. I was willing myself to just let their wrist go and to not do anything else. Part of me knew that it was wrong, but I just felt like I could not stop. And it took every bit of my might, and I felt something great inside of me. Something so great was present with me that day, that gave me the reassurance, that gave me the strength, and that gave me the courage to release their rest. And I remember as I released their wrist, I was shaking and I just screamed, "Run, run from mummy." And I turned so quickly and I grabbed hold of that kitchen bench and I grabbed it so tightly. And I knew, just do not let it go. I kept on telling myself, do not let this bench go, do not let this bench go. For I knew if I let it go, I didn't know if there would be any turning back. I didn't know if I would be able to stop. And I felt so much regret, shame, judgment wash over me in that instance. And the tears started to fall. I finally allowed whatever was suppressed inside me to come to the surface. It was slowly starting to show. This was the time that I felt something different. I felt my whole body just collapse. But I knew that I couldn't continue this way. This was not what I wanted to be. This was not the mother I wanted to be. And this was certainly not the role model I wanted to be for my children. And this was not what life was about. This couldn't have been why I was here. I couldn't let my pain continue to be the pain of others, and also for myself. How long had I carried this for? How long had I allowed it to build up to this point where I was ready to destroy something, and destroy something I love so dearly? And that's what brought me to where I am today. The Institute of Intuitive Intelligence and I crossed paths. And I signed up for a course that I had no idea what it was even about, to become an intuitive guide. I did it for personal development. I just knew that I wanted to find out who I was again, find out my truth, and be happier, and to let go of this pain that I was holding on to. The pain that I was allowing to destroy me bit by bit. And I knew I had to tear down some massive walls and some boundaries to allow myself to open up again. For me to find myself, my true self. And I'm so passionate. Through my studies, I got to the point where I realized that I couldn't keep this to myself anymore, and that I am here to guide others, to show them, to educate them that there is another way, that they too can break down those boundaries that are holding them back from creating the life that they desire, from creating an unrestricted heart, to be open, to be truly happy, to find their joy, their own freedom. And this is what I'm here for, and this is my story of what has brought me to this point. So I thank you for joining me. Thank you. And thank you for listening, for seeing me and hearing me. And this is what I do for others.